Do you know what is more satisfying than watching bubble wrap ASMR? Yes, you guessed it. It is making the Tokyo Stinger, one of the best fixed blade knives I've ever made in my whole knife making career. So this knife has been a pretty consistent cast member ever since it was made. You pretty much see this knife in all my videos, my Instagram as well, and pretty much everywhere I post, this knife will make an appearance. It's really tough. My heat treat on the 1075 for this knife is pretty extraordinary. I batoned it through some hardwood using a stone, which you will never do. And as you can see, it's been scratched up big time, but it stayed straight and it did not break. That's the most important thing when hard testing a knife, is to not break. And I've always wanted the Tokyo Stinger to be like a stylish, do everything hard use knife. That's the main goal for it at this point in time, is to have a knife that is stylish, number one, you know, artistically finished, looks really elegant, looks really it just looks really appealing, but its main and foremost use is a using knife. It's a hard use knife that you can do pretty much anything you want to do with it, you know, to chop, to baton, to carve, to food process, you know, cut meat, fry with. That's why I made it super thick. You can fry with this thing, do a lot of things with it. But there's going to be a lot of changes because right now this design just doesn't cut it for the whole do everything aspect. It's going to be much more longer and bigger than this. It's going to be a little bit wider. This knife has been really excellent. The edge retention on this has been pretty good, pretty decent, but it's nothing to write home about. It's still your average edge retention. But compared to my other stuff, this actually holds its edge pretty decently. I'd say it's pretty close to SE's 1095. I don't want to brag or anything, but that's pretty good because the Junglist chopper that I have, the Junglist, I've done a review on that, go check it out, it's on my older channel. But the Junglist, I'd be chopping through eucalyptus hardwood, and that's really hardwood, and it still shave hair off my arm with no issues. This does the same thing. It holds its edge against the hardwood, but however, I have noticed that compared to my SE, since this is on a higher Rockwell, this is 1075 at 60 Rockwell. I tempered it to 60 Rockwell, and I think that's a little too high for a knife like this. Like, yes, you may get a little bit more edge retention, but your edge is going to be slightly more brittle, and the slightest bit of brittleness, I feel like, is a bigger trade-off than having less edge retention. I deliberately hit this on concrete, and I put a pretty decent sized ding in the blade. It took me a while to sharpen out, and when you get big dings in your blade, you don't want to keep doing that and sharpening consistently, because eventually your edge will rise down just a very tiny bit. It'll get thicker and thicker and thicker behind the edge, and you just don't want that. You don't want your knife to get thinner. Now, a proper knife made properly will last you a lifetime, even if you sharpen it a lot, because you're only going to be removing a little bit of metal. You're not going to be sharpening it all the way down. You don't need to remove so much metal here. So this knife is super easy to sharpen. It holds its edge for a decent amount of time, as I said, but it's just really easy to sharpen, and that's one thing I really like about this knife. I also put a two-tone finish on it. So this is from a cork belt. It has 6000 grit, which is the green compound, and you've got a satin 600 grit here, so that's pretty decent. I do like the finish, how you can still see the scratches, but it's like mirrored. Like, I really like that. And on this side, it's like satin. It tends to corrode faster than the mirrored finish, because obviously it's a smoother surface. There's less chance for moisture to be trapped in between the scratch marks. So that's pretty good. I'm going to be making the next batch with the mirrored two-tone finish, because I really like this finish. It is pretty durable too. I mean, if you look at this finish compared to here, you can see there's just a lot more scratches here as compared to the mirrored finish. Now, I know not everyone likes a really shiny blade, but I'll offer them in satin as well. So next batch of this specific knife, it's gonna be sick. The knife as is not perfect. The bevels are not perfect on this one. It's ran more to this side than this side, which I'll be fixing up in the next batch. The sheath on this one was pretty good. I'm still gonna improve on this one too. So I will be doing a hard test on this in the near future. not in the near future, probably like next week. I'm gonna be doing some batoning with this, some prying with this. We're gonna lock this in the vise and bend it. We'll see what happens. We'll see how well the handle sticks together, and we'll evaluate all of that, and we'll take what's wrong with it, take what's good with it, and move it onto the next design. Because after the next batch of this design, I'm changing Tokyo Stinger entirely. It's gonna look really different. It's still gonna keep the same overall shape, philosophy of use, and fit and finish. Sorry, not fit and finish. It'll be much more better than this. I mean, this is kind of like rough. So it'll be much more better. It'll just be a better knife overall. It'll surpass its predecessor in pretty much every way. So yes, dang, it's a bit windy. I hope that doesn't ruin the quality of the video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for anyone who supports. You know, lately I've only been getting like a couple of views per videos, but that's okay because I'm still starting out. Even though I have been doing YouTube for a long time, this new format, that's everything going on. Hey, am I just giving excuses here? I hope not. But yeah, you know, one day I will be a well-known YouTuber that does knives and YouTube and a whole bunch of other stuff. I have so much ideas, and I have you guys to thank for it. If you're watching this, I have you to thank for it. So thank you to anyone. You know who you are. I know who you are, and I'll see you guys later.